The grand chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with the voices of 27 different species. Tall, crystalline beings stood next to squat creatures with multiple eyes. Some floated in special atmosphere bubbles, while others needed mechanical suits to move around. Despite their differences, they all shared one thing. They ruled the stars together. At the center of attention stood Ambassador Krax Tull of the Vordani Empire. His scaled skin reflected the chamber's lights as he gestured at the holographic display showing a blue-green planet. This world, designated Sol 3, contains abundant resources and a primitive species that has barely reached its own moon, Krax Tull said, his voice translator giving his words a metallic edge. We should claim it now before they develop further and become difficult to manage. Matriarch Inyaval, one of the oldest council members, raised a slender appendage. The protocols for first contact are clear. We observe, then approach diplomatically. We have followed this process for 12,000 cycles. Krax Tull made a dismissive gesture. These humans are barely unified. They fight among themselves constantly. Their technology is laughably simple. A show of force will make them accept our authority immediately. Across the planet Earth, in a modest office at NASA headquarters, Lisa Wright rubbed her tired eyes. The communications specialist had been analyzing unusual signal patterns detected by deep space monitoring stations for 3 days straight. Something about these signals felt different from the usual cosmic background noise. Hey, you still here? Lisa looked up to see Greg Miller, a linguistics expert the government had brought in as a consultant, standing in her doorway with 2 cups of coffee. Can't leave yet, Lisa said, accepting the coffee gratefully. These patterns keep repeating. It's almost like... Like what? Greg asked, leaning over her shoulder to look at the screen. Like language, she whispered. Not random at all. Meanwhile, at Edwards Air Force Base, Captain John Kelly completed his pre-flight checks on the newest fighter jet prototype. The brass had been pushing for faster development cycles ever since those strange objects had been detected at the edge of the solar system. Control to Captain Kelly, you are cleared for test flight pattern Delta. John acknowledged and felt the familiar push as his aircraft accelerated down the runway. Little did he know that this routine test flight would soon put him on the front lines of humanity's greatest challenge. Back in the council chamber, the debate had grown heated. Several members were now openly opposing Krax Tull's proposal. A preliminary scouting force has already been dispatched, Krax Tull announced suddenly. The chamber erupted in shouting and protests. You had no authorization, bellowed the representative of the Muldoon Collective, their voice shaking the liquid in their containment suit. The Vordani Empire reserves the right to protect its interests, Krax Tull replied smoothly. The council can debate while we secure this primitive world. 2 council observers, Jalar and Peltic, exchanged worried glances. This violates at least 7 treaties, Peltic noted, recording the proceedings. The humans haven't even been properly evaluated. Jalar nodded. I studied their broadcasts. They are more resilient than Krax Tull believes. At the Pentagon, alarms blared as satellites detected multiple objects decelerating from faster-than-light travel near Mars. General Howard pounded his fist on the conference table. Get me NASA, the President, and every Allied commander on the line now. Within the hour, Greg Miller found himself escorted by armed guards into a secure room deep within the Pentagon. Lisa Wright was already there, looking pale but determined as she connected her laptop to the room's main display. Mr. Miller, we need your expertise in pattern recognition and linguistics, the general said. Ms. Wright believes she's partially decoded what appear to be alien communications. Alien, Greg repeated, feeling suddenly lightheaded. In the skies above Nevada, John Kelly and his squadron received new orders. All aircraft returned to base immediately for emergency briefing and rearmament. As John banked his aircraft toward home, he spotted something impossible on his radar. Objects moving at speeds no human craft could achieve, entering Earth's atmosphere. On the Galactic Council observation deck, Jalar and Peltic watched in growing horror As the Vordani ships approached Earth, the planet's primitive defense systems were already tracking the incoming vessels. "They're going to fight back," Peltic said with disbelief. "Of course they are," Jalor replied. "Wouldn't you?" The humans had no idea what they were facing, but they were about to show the galaxy something it had never seen before. The first Vordani scout ships entered Earth's atmosphere, with confidence bordering on arrogance. Their sleek vessels, shaped like elongated teardrops, shimmered with energy shields designed to withstand weapons far more advanced than anything humans possessed. "Target the largest military installations first," Commander Zexkor ordered from the lead ship. "Minimal force. We want to demonstrate superiority, not destroy what we came to claim." Aboard the Galactic Council observation vessel, Jalor and Peltic monitored the situation with growing concern. Their small ship remained cloaked in high orbit, tasked with documenting the unauthorized first contact. "The humans are scrambling aircraft," Peltic noted, watching radar signatures bloom across North America, Europe, and Asia. "Primitive vehicles powered by chemical combustion. They're coordinating their response remarkably quickly," Jalor replied, surprised. "Look at their communication patterns." In the Pentagon's crisis room, Greg Miller worked frantically with Lisa Wright. The walls were lined with screens showing the approaching alien vessels and military assets being deployed worldwide. "I've isolated patterns in their transmissions," Lisa said, fingers flying across her keyboard. "It's definitely a language. Structured, with repeating elements that change in specific ways." Greg nodded, "Like verb conjugations or case endings. Can you identify command sequences?" "Maybe," Lisa said. "This cluster appears before every change in their flight pattern." General Howard approached their workstation. "Any progress? We need to know if communication is possible." "We're working on it, sir," Greg replied. "But we need more data." The general's phone rang. "Howard here." "They've what?" His face paled. "Get me live feed now." The main screen switched to a view from a fighter jet's camera. 3 alien ships were descending toward a military base in Nevada. "That's where John's squadron is based," Lisa whispered. In the sky above Nevada, Captain John Kelly led a formation of 6 fighter jets toward the incoming alien craft. His heart pounded, but years of training kept his hands steady on the controls. "Remember the plan," he said into his radio. "We're gathering data first. Do not engage unless fired upon." The alien ships were unlike anything he'd ever seen. No visible engines, no apparent weapons. They moved with impossible grace, defying aerodynamics. "Bandits changing course," reported his wingman. "They're heading straight for us." "Hold formation," John ordered. "Let's see what they do." The lead alien vessel suddenly accelerated, closing distance rapidly. "Evasive maneuvers," John shouted as energy beams lanced from the alien craft. The pilots scattered, their jets banking sharply. One beam grazed the wing of the last aircraft, which spiraled out of control before the pilot managed to eject. "They fired first," John said grimly. "All units, weapons free. Use the new dispersal pattern." Instead of attacking in a predictable formation, the fighters broke into seemingly random flight paths, approaching from multiple angles. The alien vessels struggled to track the chaotic movements. John's jet screamed toward the lead alien ship. He locked on and fired 2 experimental missiles designed to disrupt electromagnetic fields. In the Galactic Council chamber, the live feed from their observers caused an uproar. The supposedly primitive human aircraft were executing complex, unpredictable maneuvers that confused the Vordani targeting systems. "Impossible," shouted Kraxtall as they watched a human missile pierce a Vordani shield. The explosion wasn't large, but it disrupted the ship's control systems, sending it careening toward the ground. Another human fighter dove directly at a Vordani vessel, firing its weapons until the last possible moment before pulling away. The alien ship's shields flickered under the concentrated fire. "Their tactics are illogical," said a council member. "The humans should be retreating, not attacking superior technology." 3 Vordeni ships lost to primitive projectile weapons, gasped another council member. How is this possible? In the observation vessel, Shalar's recording devices captured everything. They're using their technological limitations as an advantage, she noted. The Vordani expected predictable attacks from predictable vectors. The humans are anything but predictable, Peltic replied as they watched John Kelly's squadron regroup and prepare for another attack run. The Vordani have seriously miscalculated. Back at the Pentagon, cheers erupted as news of the downed alien ships reached them. We've hurt them, General Howard said, his voice thick with emotion. Now let's figure out how to talk to them before they bring reinforcements. Lisa looked up from her computer. I think I just found out how. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in 50 years. Representatives from all 27 member species crowded the chamber, their voices raised in heated debate. At the center stood Ambassador Krax Tull, his scaled skin flushed dark with anger. These setbacks are temporary, he insisted. The humans simply caught our scout ships by surprise. With proper reinforcements, we can secure the planet within days. Matriarch Enyaval moved to the speaking platform, her ancient body gliding smoothly despite her age. The chamber fell silent out of respect. I have studied the data from our observers, she said, her voice soft yet carrying to every corner of the room. These humans are not what we expected. She gestured, and holographic displays showed the recent battle. Human fighters moved in patterns that seemed chaotic, but revealed underlying coordination. Their evolutionary path is unique. Enyaval continued. Most spacefaring species evolved from group-minded herbivores or methodical pack hunters. Humans come from adaptable omnivores who survived by outthinking both predators and prey. The council members whispered among themselves as she explained. Their stress response does not follow our models. When faced with overwhelming force, they become more creative, not less. More determined, not more cautious. A representative from the Clary Confederacy stood. What do you propose, Matriarch? We must send a diplomatic contingent immediately, she replied, before this escalates further. On Earth, Greg Miller found himself appointed to a newly formed global response team. Representatives from major nations gathered in a secure underground facility, their previous political differences temporarily set aside. Ms. Wright has made a breakthrough, Greg announced to the room. She's completed a partial translation of their language. Lisa stepped forward, nervous but determined. She displayed a series of symbols on the main screen. Their communication is based on mathematical principles, she explained. Once I recognized the pattern, I could identify basic concepts. More importantly, I've discovered something crucial. She pulled up intercepted transmissions between the alien ships and a more distant location. This invasion wasn't sanctioned by their entire governing body. There's disagreement among them about how to approach us. The room erupted in discussion. Greg raised his hands for quiet. This gives us an opportunity. If they're divided, we might find allies among them. At Edwards Air Force Base, John Kelly led a team to examine the downed alien ship. Despite severe damage, parts of it remained intact. Engineers and scientists swarmed over the craft, discovering materials and technology beyond human understanding. We need to get this working, John said, examining what appeared to be a weapons system. And fast. One of the scientists looked up from a panel she had managed to activate. Captain, I think this is some kind of communication device. It's still receiving signals. John immediately called for Lisa Wright to be brought in via secure transport. In orbit, the Council observation vessel received new orders. Gilar and Peltic were instructed to prepare for the arrival of a diplomatic ship. This is unprecedented, Peltic said, checking the incoming vessel's manifest. A full council delegation approaching an uncontacted world. The humans have forced their hand, Gilar replied. Did you see the latest briefing? The humans have already begun reverse engineering Vordani technology. Peltic's eyes widened. That should be impossible. Even with intact components, they shouldn't understand the principles. They don't need to understand everything, Gilar said. They're testing and adapting, using trial and error at incredible speed. The diplomatic vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel, its smooth golden hull catching the sunlight. The Council has voted, their commander announced over the communication channel. We will attempt peaceful contact while observers continue to monitor the situation. On Earth, military leaders watched the new, larger ship appear in orbit with trepidation. Are they bringing reinforcements? General Howard asked. Lisa studied the transmission they were broadcasting on all frequencies. No, she said with surprise. I think they're coming to talk. Greg looked at the screens showing the massive alien vessel. Let's hope we can understand each other, he said quietly. For all our sakes. John Kelly was recalled from the crash site. His experience with the aliens in combat made him valuable for what would come next. Captain Kelly, the general said when John arrived, how would you like to be part of the first official human delegation to meet extraterrestrial life? John looked at the images of the alien ship. After what they did, sir, I'd rather shoot them down. The general nodded grimly. That's exactly why we need you there, to remind them what happens when they underestimate us. The United Nations building in New York buzzed with activity as world leaders argued about how to respond to the alien diplomatic request. Security forces surrounded the building, and military units stood ready nearby. The aliens had agreed to land a small shuttle in a nearby clearing as a show of good faith. We should attack while we have the chance, said the Russian representative. They attacked us first, and risk provoking their entire civilization, countered the Chinese delegate. We should listen to what they have to say. President Allen of the United States stood up. We will meet them, but we will also be prepared. Our team will include military personnel as well as scientists and diplomats. Greg Miller watched the proceedings from a side room, feeling strangely calm despite the historic moment unfolding around him. Lisa Wright sat beside him, reviewing her translation notes. They're going to ask us to be part of the delegation, she said without looking up. We're the closest thing to experts on their language and culture. Greg nodded. I know. John's already been selected. They want someone who's faced them in combat. A staff member entered the room. Mr. Miller, Ms. Wright, the Secretary General requests your presence. Meanwhile, aboard the main Vordeni ship, Commander Zexkor met secretly with several officers. The Council diplomats are fools, he said quietly. They think these humans deserve respect after a lucky victory against our scouts. He pointed to a holographic display showing Earth's major cities. While they talk, we will prepare a real attack, one that will break the humans completely. His second-in-command looked troubled, but the Council has ordered a diplomatic approach. The Council is weak, Zexkor replied. The Vordani Empire was not built by asking permission. Once we control Earth, the Council will accept it as fact. The diplomatic shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing gently in the designated area. Council representatives from 7 different species emerge, each wearing translation devices. Matriarch Enyaval led the group, her ancient eyes taking in the heavily armed human security forces. They are frightened but determined, she noted to her colleagues. A dangerous combination. The human delegation approached cautiously. Besides various officials, Greg, Lisa, and John walked together near the front. They're so different from each other, Lisa whispered, observing the various alien forms. Some look almost like insects, others like reptiles or plants. John kept his hand near his sidearm. Just remember they attacked us without warning. Stay alert. The meeting took place in a hastily constructed neutral structure. The aliens sat on one side of a large table, humans on the other. Translators worked frantically as both sides began with formal introductions. We deeply regret the actions of the Vordani Empire, Matriarch Enyaval said through her translator. Their attack was not authorized by the full Galactic Council. President Allen leaned forward. Yet you allowed them to enter our solar system with warships. The Council has 27 member species with different interests, replied the matriarch. We do not always agree, but we seek harmony through discussion, not force. Greg noticed something odd in the translation. He whispered to Lisa, "Ask them about their power structure. Something doesn't add up." Lisa posed the question, and the aliens exchanged glances before the matriarch answered. "The council governs by consensus, but some members have greater influence based on their age of spaceflight and number of controlled systems." While the main discussion continued, Lisa quietly worked on her tablet, comparing the official translations with the raw alien language. "John," she whispered urgently, "I need to speak with you and Greg in private. Now." The three stepped away on the pretense of a consultation. "The Vordeni are lying to everyone," Lisa said, showing them her screen. "I've been monitoring their ship-to-ship communications. They're planning another attack while these talks distract us." John's face hardened. "I knew it. We need to tell the president." "Wait," Greg said, looking back at the alien delegation. "Look at their body language. I don't think all of them know about this plan. We might find allies among them." In the observation vessel above, Shilar recorded everything for the council archives. "The humans are displaying remarkable diplomatic skill for a first contact situation," she noted, "especially considering the circumstances." Peltic nodded. "But look at their defensive posture and the speed with which they've integrated Vordani technology into their defense systems. They're preparing for the worst while hoping for peace." "A rare combination," Gilar agreed. "Most species choose one path or the other." Back in the meeting room, Lisa discreetly approached the matriarch during a break. "We know about the Vordani's true plans," she said quietly. "And we're ready for them." The ancient alien's eyes widened slightly. "You continue to surprise us, humans. Perhaps that is exactly what this galaxy needs." The alarms sounded just as the diplomatic meeting was reaching a tentative agreement. Red lights flashed throughout the building as security personnel rushed in. "Multiple alien vessels have appeared in orbit," announced General Howard, bursting into the room. "They're launching attack ships toward major cities worldwide." The alien representatives looked shocked, all except the Vordani delegate, who displayed no surprise at all. Matriarch Enyaval turned to the Vordani. "What have you done?" "What is necessary," the Vordani replied calmly. "This world will be ours, with or without council approval." John Kelly was already on his feet. "We need to get to our defense positions now." Outside, chaos erupted as news of the attack spread. The diplomatic shuttle lifted off hastily, carrying most of the alien representatives back to their ship. Only Matriarch Enyaval and two others chose to remain with the humans. "We will help however we can," the matriarch told President Allen. "This attack violates all council agreements." "We welcome your help," Greg said, "but right now we need to coordinate our global response." Around the world, the newly established alien response centers sprang into action. Fighter jets scrambled, and experimental weapons based on captured alien technology were deployed. This time, Earth was not caught completely by surprise. Lisa Wright had been working day and night on her translation algorithm. Now she used it to hack directly into the Vordani communication network. "I'm in their system," she announced to the command center. "I can see their attack plans and broadcast false orders." "Do it," ordered the president. "Disrupt their coordination as much as possible." In the skies above Chicago, John Kelly led a squadron of fighters enhanced with reverse-engineered alien technology. The sleek Earth vessels now sported energy shields and improved weapons. "Remember your training," John said over the radio. "Use their predictable tactics against them. They expect us to follow standard military doctrine. Let's show them how humans really fight." His squadron split up, using buildings and clouds for cover, approaching the alien ships from unusual angles. What the aliens saw as chaos was actually a carefully designed unpredictability. In orbit, the council observers documented everything. "The humans have adapted Vordani technology in less than a week," Shilar reported with astonishment. "It took the Breltor 3 years to integrate captured technology from another species." "Look at their tactics," Peltic added. "They're treating buildings as cover, using their knowledge of their own planet to outmaneuver the Vordani. And their pilots are taking risks no Vordani would consider acceptable. The Vordani fleet commander watched in growing frustration as his carefully planned attack met fierce resistance. Human fighters seemed to appear from nowhere, striking and vanishing before his ships could lock weapons. "They're in our communication network," a Vordani officer reported with alarm. "Ships are receiving contradictory orders." On the ground, Lisa worked frantically, sending false retreat orders to Vordani ships, while Greg coordinated with military leaders worldwide, breaking through political differences to create a united human response. Australia reports successful defense of Sydney, and aid announced. India has downed 12 enemy craft. Russia and China are coordinating their air defense with European forces. "The Vordani didn't expect us to work together," Greg observed. "They thought our divisions would make us easy targets." In the council chamber, representatives watched the live feeds with a mixture of horror and fascination. The humans were taking heavy losses, with several cities damaged by alien weapons, but they fought with unexpected resilience. "They're using their own infrastructure as weapons," noted one council member as humans deliberately collapsed a bridge onto a low-flying Vordani ship. "And their communication speed is remarkable," added another. "They adapt to new Vordani tactics almost immediately." Ambassador Craxtol stood silent, his earlier confidence gone, as he watched his forces struggle against what he had dismissed as a primitive species. Back on Earth, a Vordani cruiser crashed into the Atlantic Ocean after sustaining heavy damage from multiple human attacks. Submarines converged on the wreckage, capturing intact alien technology. "We're turning this around," John said, as his squadron regrouped after another successful attack run. "But they still have the advantage in space." Lisa looked up from her computer terminal. "Maybe not for long. I've found something in their database, a weakness in their main ship design." She turned to Greg with determination in her eyes. "I think I know how we can win this." News of the Earth conflict spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had never paid attention to the small blue planet now watched the feeds with growing interest. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives argued loudly about what actions to take. "The Vordani have clearly violated our most sacred principles," said the representative from the Keltar Collective. "We must intervene directly." "This is an internal matter between the Vordani and a non-member world," countered another. "We should not interfere." Matriarch Inyaval's voice cut through the noise. From Earth, she transmitted directly to the Council. "You all need to see what I have witnessed here. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered." The feeds showed humans working together across traditional enemy lines, sharing resources and strategies. In labs around the world, scientists work nonstop to understand and adapt alien technology. "They have achieved in days what takes most species years," she continued. "Their adaptability is unprecedented." On Earth, in a secure underground facility, Greg Miller presented a bold plan to military leaders from 12 nations. "The Vordani command ship controls their entire fleet," he explained, pointing to diagrams on a large screen. "If we can infiltrate it and deploy Lisa's virus, we can disable their weapons systems." "And how exactly do we reach a heavily defended ship in orbit?" asked a skeptical general. Greg smiled slightly. "We've been reverse engineering their shuttlecraft. Captain Kelly believes we can make one operational." In a hangar nearby, John Kelly supervised a team working on a captured Vordani vessel. The small craft was designed for atmospheric entry and had suffered minimal damage when its crew abandoned it. "The propulsion system is unlike anything we've seen," one engineer explained to John. "But we figured out the basic controls." "Good," John replied, "because we'll need to fly it soon." "How's the cloaking technology coming along?" "We've got it working at about 60% capacity. It should mask us from casual scans, but not a focused sweep." Lisa Wright joined them, carrying a small device. "This contains the virus I've developed," she said. "Once we're aboard their command ship, we'll need to connect it to any control terminal. It will spread through their network and disable their weapons." John looked at the tiny device, and then at Lisa. "You're not coming with us. This is a military operation. The virus needs constant adjustment to counter their security systems," Lisa replied firmly. "And I'm the only one who can do that. Besides, I've already cleared it with the president." As they prepared, the Council observation vessel continued to document Earth's response to the invasion. "Their technological adaptation rate has increased again," Peltic noted with astonishment. "They're now integrating Vordeni shield harmonics into their defense systems. And look at their social response," added Jalar. "Former enemies coordinate strategies, share resources, and protect each other's territories. The Vordani expected them to fracture under pressure. Instead, they've unified as never before," Peltic said. "I've updated their species classification in our database. They now rank as a potential guardian species." "That's incredibly rare," Jalar whispered. "Only 3 other known civilizations carry that designation." In the council chamber, more representatives began to side against the Vordani. Species that had previously remained neutral now spoke out, condemning the invasion. Some even offered to provide humanitarian aid to Earth. Ambassador Krax Toll watched his support crumble. "You fools," he hissed. "Don't you see? If humans can adapt this quickly to our technology now, what will they become in a century? In a millennium? They must be controlled before they grow too powerful." His words only strengthened the opposition. The Council formally voted to censure the Vordani Empire and provide aid to Earth. Back on the Vordani command ship, Commander Zexkor received the news with rage. "The Council is irrelevant," he told his officers. "We will crush these humans, then present the Council with a conquered world. They always accept victory." Little did he know that at that very moment, a small modified Vordani shuttle was lifting off from Earth, its systems masked to appear as debris. Inside, Greg, Lisa, and John prepared for the most daring mission in human history. "If we succeed," Greg said quietly, "we change humanity's future forever." John checked his weapon one last time. "And if we fail, there might not be a humanity left to have a future." Lisa looked at the approaching Vordani fleet on their scanner. "Then we better not fail." The modified Vordani shuttle approached the massive command ship, drifting among debris from earlier battles. Inside, Greg, Lisa, and John sat in tense silence. Their craft's identification transponder broadcast the signal of a damaged scout ship returning for repairs. "We're being scanned," Lisa whispered, watching the indicator lights on her panel. "Hold steady." After a long moment, the lights changed color. "They've accepted our ID code," she said with relief. "Docking permission granted." John guided the shuttle toward a secondary hangar bay, following the path least likely to draw attention. "Remember, we move like we belong there. The Vordani expect absolute obedience from lower ranks, so keep your head down and follow my lead." They had studied Vordani ship layouts from data Lisa had extracted from their computer systems. They wore stolen uniforms taken from the captured shuttle, modified to fit their human frames. "The central command hub is 3 levels up," Greg reminded them. "We need to reach a primary terminal to upload the virus." The shuttle docked with a soft thud. They waited as the hangar pressurized, then moved toward the exit. "Now or never," John said quietly. They stepped into the hangar, walking purposefully toward the main corridor. A Vordani technician glanced at them, but returned to his work without question. The disguises were working so far. On Earth, military leaders watched through a secret video feed transmitted from a camera hidden in Greg's uniform. They could offer no help, but at least they could witness what happened. "If they succeed," President Allen said, "we need to be ready to take advantage when the Vordani systems go down." All available forces were positioned to strike the moment the alien ships became vulnerable. In the Council observation vessel, Shalar and Peltic had detected the human shuttle, but chose not to report it. "We are meant to observe, not interfere," Shalar said, justifying their silence. "This is a most interesting development. 3 humans infiltrating a Vordani command ship, Peltic marveled. The Council will not believe this recording. Inside the Vordani ship, Greg, Lisa, and John moved through the corridors, passing several alien crew members. The ship was enormous, with high ceilings and strange angles that made humans feel small and exposed. They reached a transport tube that would take them to the command level. As they entered, a Vordani officer stepped in behind them. He looked at them curiously. "Your unit designation," he demanded in the harsh Vordani language. John responded with the memorized phrase Lisa had prepared. The officer seemed satisfied and said nothing more. When they reached the command level, they followed a less traveled path toward a data center adjacent to the main bridge. According to Lisa's information, they could access the ship's primary systems from there without facing the full bridge crew. "Guards ahead," Greg whispered as they approached the data center. 2 armed Vordani stood at the entrance. John pulled out a small device they had brought from Earth, ready for a distraction. He activated it, sending a false alarm to a nearby section. Warning lights flashed, and the guards looked toward the commotion. When one left to investigate, John approached the remaining guard, showing a forged authorization. The guard hesitated, then stepped aside. Inside the empty data center, Lisa moved quickly to a terminal. "Cover me," she said, connecting her device to the alien interface. "This will take a few minutes." "We may not have minutes," John replied, watching the door. As Lisa worked, Greg explored the room, scanning the Vordani data displays. He stopped suddenly at one screen. "Lisa, John, you need to see this." The screen showed historical data about Earth, records dating back thousands of years. "They've been watching us for centuries," Greg said in shock. "And look at this prediction model. They specifically targeted Earth because their data showed humans would eventually develop technology that could challenge Vordani dominance. They feared what we might become," Lisa realized, still working on her upload. "That's why they rushed the invasion against Council protocols." John shook his head. "All this time, we thought we were alone in the universe." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Security breach detected," announced a voice in the Vordani language. "We've been discovered," Lisa said, fingers flying over the terminal. "But the virus is at 90%. We just need a little more time." The door to the data center slid open. Commander Zexkor himself stood there, weapon raised and eyes burning with rage. "Humans," he snarled. "I should have known." Commander Zexkor aimed his weapon at Lisa, recognizing her as the greatest threat. "Step away from the terminal now," he ordered. John moved with lightning speed, knocking Greg aside as he drew his own weapon. The two fired simultaneously. Zexkor's shot hit the wall behind where Greg had stood, while John's blast caught the Vordani commander in the shoulder. "Keep working," John shouted to Lisa as he engaged in combat with the wounded but still dangerous Zexkor. "Broadcast the evidence," Greg called to Lisa, pointing at the historical data. "Let the whole council see what the Vordani have been hiding." Lisa worked frantically, fingers flying across the alien controls. "Virus at 98%, she announced, "and sending the Vordani secret files to all council communication channels now." Throughout the massive ship, lights flickered as the virus began to take effect. Weapon systems shut down, shields faltered, and communication arrays redirected to broadcast the hidden files. In the council chamber, the emergency transmission interrupted all proceedings. Representatives watched in stunned silence as centuries of Vordani deception were revealed. "They have manipulated council politics for generations," gasped one elder member, "using their influence to suppress other species' development while building their own power. And their specific targeting of Earth was deliberate suppression of a potential rival," added another. "A direct violation of our most sacred founding principle." Back on the command ship, John fought desperately against Commander Zexkor. The Vordani was stronger, but John was quicker. Both were injured now, leaving trails of red and green blood across the data center floor. "Your entire species will pay for this," Zexkor snarled, landing a heavy blow that sent John crashing into a control panel. Upload complete. Lisa shouted triumphantly. All Vordani weapon systems are offline. Throughout Earth's skies, the invading ships suddenly went dark. Their weapons powered down, shields disappeared, and many began to drift aimlessly. Earth's military forces launched their coordinated counterattack. Fighter jets engaged the now vulnerable alien craft while ground-based weapons targeted the larger ships in low orbit. On the observation vessel, Jalar and Peltic watched in amazement as the humans turned the tide of battle. "The Council has voted," came an emergency transmission. "All loyal Council forces are ordered to assist Earth against the Vordani aggressors. The Vordani Empire is hereby suspended from Council membership pending full investigation." Several Council ships that had been maintaining neutrality now moved to engage the Vordani fleet from behind, catching them in a devastating crossfire. In the data center, Gray helped the injured John to his feet as Lisa secured the terminal. "We need to get back to the shuttle," Greg said urgently. "This whole ship could be captured soon." As they moved toward the exit, John paused to look at the fallen commander's X-score. "You made a big mistake," he told the defeated Vordani. "You thought technology alone makes a species powerful, but it's how we face challenges that defines us." They made their way back through the now chaotic ship as Vordani crew members ran in confusion with their systems failing around them. Some surrendered immediately upon seeing armed humans, now more afraid of the primitive species than their own commanders. 3 weeks later, Greg Miller stood before the full Galactic Council as Earth's first official ambassador. Lisa Wright and John Kelly flanked him. All three now celebrated as heroes both on Earth and across much of the galaxy. "Humans have proven themselves exceptional," declared Matriarch Inyaval. "Therefore, we extend an unprecedented offer. Earth will be granted full Council membership immediately, rather than the usual probationary period of 50 years. Greg stepped forward to address the assembled representatives. "On behalf of Earth, we accept membership in the Galactic Council. We have much to learn, but also, perhaps, something to teach." The council chamber erupted in approving sounds from dozens of different species. Back on Earth, nations continued their unprecedented cooperation, working together to incorporate alien technology and prepare for a new era of space exploration. Where the Vordani had seen only a primitive world to conquer, they had instead awakened a sleeping giant. Years later, at the Galactic Academy, new diplomatic students were always shown the famous historical recording that began, "You decided to invade Earth," followed by the horrified reactions of the Council as they witnessed humanity's remarkable rise from near defeat to victory. The final lesson was always the same: never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history overcoming challenges and defeating the odds.